We continue Zoroastrianism, the religion of the good life, by Rustom Masani, with Chapter 7, The Adorable Ones. Oh, they're just adorable. No, another sense of adorable. Perhaps the word is call to mind. We call to mind the spiritual Yazata, who are the givers of the better, and are full of Asha. Gombar 2:6, or GAH, what does that stand for? Gombar? What's I don't remember that. Next in rank to the Ameshaspentas come the Yazata, literally adorable ones. The distinction being the same as between archangels and angels in Christian theology. The number of the Yazata is legion. Only about 40, however, are mentioned in the extant Avestan text, and the most prominent of these correspond to the 24 referred to by Plutarch, and the Book of Revelations too. The number usually given, including the holy immortals, is however 33. Ahura Mazda is himself a Yazata, the greatest and the best of them, just as he is the first in the heptarchy of the Ameshaspenta. Thus we see the link between angel names and God names, or divine qualities, and the angels which manifest these things. Numerous are the boons that these beneficent ones confer on humanity. They gather together the light of the sun and shed it upon the earth. Men invoke them with votive offerings, and in return they help the worshippers. Well, it's really the Davas. That's the secret. The Davas, or divs, or whatever, are the ones that really respond to the angel worship. The Shayateen min al Jinn, as they're called in Arabic. Offerings of milk and hayoma, of the dra'onna, a sort of bread made of wheat, and of meat too. Meat as another type of offering, are dedicated to them. Some scholars have, however, attempted to show that the meat offerings are repugnant to the spirit and the teachings of the prophet. In fact, blood offerings are gradually disappearing from the present-day ceremonies. Although these Yazata find an honored place in the Zoroastrian pantheon, only 3 of them are mentioned in the Gathas, namely Sraasha, Attar, and Ashi. So, think about that. A god that, it's one thing to command animal sacrifice and say it has to be humane, and I don't care about the blood and the flesh, I just want you to show your obedience and give the meat to the poor. It's another thing to, smear the blood on the walls and offer blood and meat, and God doesn't need us to feed him, or at least not any God I would want to worship. Sraasha, the first of the Yazata, is Sraasha, the guardian spirit of humanity, who typifies obedience to the divine law. Professor Jackson designates him priest divinity, as he acts as an embodiment of the divine service. He is in fact obedient to the commandments of God. The first to worship Ahura Mazda, he officiates as a missionary to teach humanity to the world, and to preach willing submission to Mazda's mandates. As the evangelist of the truth faith, he moves about, disseminating religious lore all over the material world. Zarathustra longs to see this vice-regent of God on earth, and prays that the spirit of obedience may come unto himself and unto every man whom Mazda wills. I invoke, so Haru, that sort of Greek formula. That's sort of the idea going on here. The dwelling place of Zoroaster is supported by 1,000 pillars. It is self-lighted from within and star-spangled from without. He drives in a heavenly chariot drawn by 4 white shining horses that are fleeter than the winds, fleeter than the rain, fleeter than the winged birds, and fleeter than the well-darted arrow. His weapons consist of the sacred formula Ahana Verio, Yata Ahua Veria, Atahratushata, that one, and the other consecrated spells. See, I don't like how it's phrased. I think they should have done this book might be better. My only complaint is that had they done a more thorough outline of some of this, it would work as standing grimoire, particularly of the last part. He is the strongest, the sturdiest, the swiftest, the most active, and awe-inspiring of youths. Himself unconquerable. Himself unconquerable. He is the conqueror of all. In the latter Avesta, Zoroaster is portrayed as a never-sleeping, wide-awake spirit who, with his club uplifted, protects all the material world from sunset to sunrise, from the onslaughts of Ashma wrath, the prime originator of disturbance and disorder, chaos and anarchy, and against all the forces of wickedness. 3 times during the day and 3 times during the night he descends on earth to smite the evil spirit and returns victorious to the ethereal regions of the Amesh Spenta. All evil vanishes from the house, clan, town, and country, wherein the righteous man, thinking good thoughts, speaking good words, and doing good deeds, welcomes and gives votive offerings to this ministering spirit. Zoroaster also acts as a co-assessor with Mithra and Rashnu, the triad, consisting a heavenly tribunal for the judgment of the souls of the dead. The prophet invokes these. The prophet mentions these guardian spirits of humanity as the greatest of the heavenly beings to appear at the final consummation of the world. All death ceremonies are closely associated with Zoroaster. The funeral service begins with an invocation to him and ends on the same note. On the morning of the 4th day after death, the soul of the deceased crosses over the Tunvat bridge into the next world. My stomach tells me to eat, so that's what I will do after I shoot this video. There before the judgment seat, it has to render an account of all its actions, and at this trial, before the august judges, Zoroaster gives evidence of its deeds. So, we see Zoroaster as sort of an Israfil, Azrael sort of entity. Ashi Vanguhe. Zoroaster's sister, Ashi Vanguhe. Holy blessing, our good reward, our deeds, is the feminine counterpart of Zoroaster. On the ethical side, she personifies sanctity and symbolizes spiritual riches, are the blessings of heaven, which are the reward of those who obey the eternal law and seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness. On the physical side, she stands for plenty and represents earthly riches. She fills the barns of men with grain, with cattle, their coffers with gold, their fields with foliage, their chests of chaste women with jewels, and their wardrobes with fine garments. As the genius of plenty, she joins Mithra, who increases pastures and fodder. She, the exalted one, is well-shaped and of noble origin. She rules at her will and is possessed of glory. Now, if we strip this down to what it could have been originally, there's a difference. The true form of these, of the real Yazatas, the real Ameshaspentas, is genderless. She's... I feel my stomach. Hopefully you don't hear it too loud. A bit sensitive with my hearing and stuff, so one may not hear it all. So she is the protector, guardian, helper, and healer of the good, and the smiter of the wicked. The devout prays for her presence and bounty. She follows the generous man who rejoices the poor by his liberal gifts, and she fills his house with flocks of cattle and horses. She is grieved at the sight of unmarried women, and she refuses to accept libations offered by childless persons and women of ill fame. As the zealous guardian of the sanctity of married life, she guards the chastity of women and abhors the wife who is untrue to the nuptial tie. Ariel? Mithra. Now, the intercessory sort of thing, that was obviously not part of his thing, so that meaning, let's look a little deeper here. Because it's not just presaging Christianity, celebration of Easter and Christmas. There's more to the mention of Mitra and Mithra, same entity. Among other prominent Yazata, the most noteworthy are Mithra, Attar, Aredvi, Sura, and Ahita. The last two were so closely identified with the forms of Zoroastrian worship that they will need special treatment. Only a few more words may, therefore, be said in this chapter about Mithra, the Indo-Iranian deity, the Indo-Iranian entity, who attained the most dominant position in the Zoroastrian theology of the latter Avestan period, closely associated as he was with the oldest common cult of Iran and India. Mithra gradually became one of the most popular and conspicuous of the Yazata. His greatness is celebrated in one of the longest litanies, in which he is spoken of in terms usually applied to Ahura Mazda. Nay, even the wise lord there is represented as having adored Mithra. Of all the celestial beings that rule over this earth, Mithra is the strongest of the strong, the sturdiest of the sturdy, the most diligent and intelligent among the entities, the most victorious and glorious. Ever afoot, he is the leader of hosts, of 1,000 devices, keeping 10,000 spies, well, obviously not all-knowing if it's not God, the undeceivable, watchful, valiant, lordly, and heroic. He is the most dominating personality in the hierarchy, listening to appeals, causing the waters to flow and the trees to grow, ruling over the district full of devices, a creature of wisdom, the swiftest among the swift, most beneficent among the beneficent, most valiant among the valiant, chief among the chiefs of the assembly. Increase affording, fatness inducing. I don't want an entity that makes me obese or something. Must be a very popular spirit with America. Wait a second. Mithra worship became Christianity. Christianity is a type of Mithra worship. Flock giving, kingdom bestowing, son granting, life imparting, felicity according, and piety infusing. Whether there shall be peace or war between nations depends on his dispensation. Mithra is also a soldier armed with sharp spears and deadly arrows. Woe betide the man who offends him. Mithra's associates. Ahura Mazda is the first and foremost among the associates who work in unison with Mithra In the scriptures, Mithra and Ahura are often invoked together. Their union is pre-Zoroastrian and corresponds to the Vedic Mithra Varuna. So Mithra is also jointly invoked with Havarak Shata. Havarak Shata. Not used to combining some of these sounds, or at least not used to some of these words. I wish more of these had the original, and maybe I should learn how to read the original too. But it's not encouraging if that's not available in book format. The shining sun, as one of his chief functions, is to work as the guardian of light. He presides over light, especially over the light radiating from the sun. As the harbinger of light and herald of the dawn, he precedes the rising sun on the summits of the mountains. The great vault of heaven is, therefore, his garment. Ahura Mazda and the Amesha Spenta have built up for him a dwelling on the mountain Alburz, where neither night nor darkness, neither cold wind nor hot wind, neither sickness nor death can ever reach. From this Elysian abode, Mithra surveys the whole universe at a glance. Nothing is hidden from his penetrating gaze. His light is the dispeller of darkness, and of all the sin and evil associated with it, protector of truth. On the moral side, Mithra protects truth and is associated with Rashnu, who is the chief genius of truth. Light is synonymous with truth. Light and truth. So Mithra, light, Rashnu, truth. As darkness is with falsehood, to utter untruth is the most heinous sin. All human evil is collectively summed up in the Avesta as the druge, or lie. Of all the vices, lying is detested the most. The liar brings death to his country. The faithful is therefore warned to never utter falsehood, for Mithra never forgives liars. Well, it's God's forgiveness we want, but certainly the light beings would be directed by God and wouldn't have any choice otherwise. But carrying the prayers back and forth, there's actual, God knows, but God wants extra witnesses to testify. So that, it's not just God saying this is your judgment. Everyone's saying it. He is the protector of the lord of the house, the lord of the clan, the lord of the town, the lord of the country, but only so long as they lie not unto him. If they commit that sin, the wrath of Mithra works havoc with house, clan, town, country, and along with these their lords and masters also perish. The sin of deceiving Mithra is, besides, visited for years upon the kinsmen of the offender. This canon of holding a man's family and kinsmen liable for his guilt is a survival of the primitive pre-Zoroastrian code of ethics considered essential for securing group morality. Sanctity of contracts. Sort of a Tiwaz sort of figure, don't you think? By Tiwaz, I mean like the rune that's like... But you have Tiwaz, Ingus, and Anus, so wisdom. And then you have justice, Ingus, which, I don't know, how would we place that here? We have Ahura Mazda, Asha Bahishta, Bohemano too, I guess. And we'd have Armati, Harvatat, Ameratat. Mithra also demands of man fidelity to his pledged word. As the presiding genius of right, he guards the sanctity of oaths. The word Mithra in the Avestan is, consequently, often used as a common noun meaning contract. Ahura Mazda asks Zarathustra not to violate a contract whether it be entered into with righteousness, whether it be entered into with the righteous or with the wicked. For Mithra stands for the inviolability of the pledged word. And, of course, you don't make contracts for wickedness, and you can repent of that, but the liars and the deceivers and the hiders, that sort of thing, they're only excused when they're doing this because of persecution. We're not blaming victims here that are coerced into saying something to save their lives or their body or even property or something from being unjustly taken from them or unjustly treated. So not even in a joke should you say a lie. Mithra's wrath and bounty. The faithful devoutly invoke Mithra by his name with offerings and implore him to attend to the worship, to listen to the invocations, and to accept the offerings. He then comes at the appointed time for help to the righteous man and bestows upon him radiance and glory, soundness of body, flocks of cattle, chariots, offspring, and sovereignty. See, who appoints the time? Not Mithra, God. If disregarded in worship or angered, he inflicts poverty or misery upon the offender, depriving him of his offspring and power. To invoke him by his name is to obtain the key to happiness in this as well as in the next world. And again, you don't have to use the cosmology that has been laid forth. We do not have to worship these various things. We can just mention them. We can worship God, thanking for the good, the 33 good things, the 33 light beings connected with these good things, the more than just these things, the Yazatas, the Ameshaspentas, the cosmology works to think through.